everyone. It's been a while since I posted my last video. Yeah, it's that time of the year where we sense and naturally are called kind of to go inwards. And of course, I did not expect uh, that I would not be posting any videos for a while, but that's what it has been for me. There has been absolutely no I'm getting a lot of questions on that, and thank you so much for those questions and asking, because it's like, where are you, what's up? So I'm absolutely doing well and fine and just sensing and moving to the energy as I do. And there has been no juice, and I always move to that, because that is the inner compass, and that always serves, however it may look on the outside, whether you show up on the outside or not. Wherever you are, that's where you're supposed to be. So that's kind of the way that this body moves. And although there's been so much that's there that I'm looking forward, as I sense the energy coming back to be shared, but it was just kind of keeping me inwards. And as I shared this, especially is the phase where it's the time of the divine feminine. I'm in the northern hemisphere, it's where nature is going inwards. And from fall, now we are in winter. And winter again is the time where you're just called to be. Just called to be. And I'm constantly kind of following the breadcrumbs of how the energy takes me. And then this question has been coming up. Like, I always kind of sense a trend. And this question has been coming up about meditation so much from all sources in conversations, that today it was just felt the right time to just kind of make a video on that and share it with all of you. And I also wanted to share that thank you for all your, first and foremost, of course, for your presence, and also your questions and all of that. So even though I may not get the chance to really answer back, I do read all of them, and even more so kind of sense into the energy of the questions that are arising, or the observations and things like that, because that is what feeds what is coming through. In that sense, that's in the field, that's ripe in the field. So thank you for that, because we are asking and kind of journeying this together. So I want to share that. And I want to begin this video really with this one question that is being asked in so many ways, right? Because even the divine feminine phase, like, I've just called to be inwards, and it was like, so what do you do? So where are you and what are you doing, right? That's the question. And many asking, like, does this mean like you're just sitting and meditating all the time? Because this is my path. This is literally what I love to do. This is what I move as, everything that I share. So everybody was asking that. And then, of course, in that context, asking about meditation, right? So what is meditate, how do you meditate? And the common thing always is not even about how you meditate. It's more about, I cannot meditate. I just cannot meditate. And I really get that, because this body mind's nature is very expressive. I've always been that way. And for years together, that is exactly what my belief was, in that sense, that there is no way that I can do anything else but sit and meditate. I think that might take a long time, if at all, maybe not this lifetime. So I'm always happy to share with everybody my journey and my perspective on how I see this and how it kind of works, and meditation. And also that if I can meditate, in that sense, I'm going to clarify a little bit. If I say my mind, like in the sense that meditates, I believe that everyone can do it. And of course, now I'm speaking in the context of the personal mind. But the truth is that we are already meditating. We already are. We are meditation. But let's walk through this together. So if you are, listening to this when you're driving or you're out somewhere, don't follow the instructions. But I would like to invite you to kind of create some space if you're interested in this and this resonates. Create some space and then watch this video with a little bit of time, so you can do this. We can do this together. Yeah. So doing that, finding some space for ourselves where we won't be disturbed, and just kind of closing our eyes. Let's do this. First and foremost, what's coming up is this, that I just want to share that let's keep this simple, right? It does not need to be a big, complicated thing. Very simple. So taking a seat wherever, and let's do this with ease. I always say my journey in that sense has always been the kind which is leaning towards doing things easefully, a gentler way, a more easeful, joyful way actually, a path of open curiosity really, and it's always worked out wonderfully. So an invitation to kind of hold that stance as well, right? So making sure that wherever we are sitting comfortably. If we need a backrest, go ahead and get that. If you cannot sit cross-legged, then sit on a chair. Absolutely fine. Believe it or not, will not make any difference eventually to the quality of the meditation. So sensing in our body in every minute that every time a practice starts, right? Not all days are the same. So always taking this opportunity to be with the body to begin with. It's a beautiful thing, our attention is, as the five senses, always outside. So taking the attention to this body, this is where I live, right? This is, as long as I'm in this density functioning as a person, this is my vehicle. So giving it that, coming in with that energy, and just so making it as comfortable as possible. And for some, because I was speaking to somebody who's has been ill and they're old, so they really cannot even get up. If that is your situation, just do it lying down, whatever works. The only reason that's not otherwise ideal, it's kind of ideal to at least keep the spine comfortably erect. That's in my experience, that's what I've seen. But even that, I say, get a backrest, let the rest of the body be loose. But if you cannot, and you just want to do it lying down, do that. It's like yoga nidra. That's all it is. So that's easily possible. Whatever works. Make every practice, every moment of your life, actually, that's what this is about. Make it about you, in the sense finding what works for you. Believe me, that is the secret for the long haul. That we make it work for us. It's great to pick up concepts and ideas from others and what has worked, because that inspires us, especially initially. But beyond that, there comes a time inwards. What works for me, right? What time of the day works for me to do this? Ideally, if it's possible, I would recommend doing this at a consistent time and in a designated place. And there's a very big reason for this, because if we know our thinking mind and our body, it's always at ease when it's in familiar spaces, right? We know that. So when we are doing anything new, or we're venturing into new, or it's still a new practice for us, it really helps that the body feels, there's like a sense of, I know this space, I know this posture, right? So that's very, very helpful. So that's why I say make yourself as comfortable as you like. Get a blanket if you want. Get a pillow for your back or on your sides. Many times I have pillows under my thighs as well, because otherwise they easily get kind of numb sometimes, and that kind of disturbs me. So I find my own way. Like my left leg has two pillows under it, and my right one does fine. See, so this is something that we figure out on our own, whatever, and that changes too. So being with our own self through this, right? So that's really important. However you want to set up the ambience. The second thing that can also be very helpful, that I really find when we do meditation, is that we generally say do it in the morning, or do it in the evening, but observe when the mind is not too active, ideally. So for me, because it's such an expressive, creative mind, constantly exploring, writing, or speaking, or doing things like that, it really, for me, is in the mornings. So when I get up, I'm in that state of waking up, like I'm still sleepy, but I'm not fully awake. It's like the perfect window for me. And that's how my journey started. Whenever that was, whatever time that was. Right? So it was like I just knew, okay, now is when I know that everything is a little quieter. My environment, and when I say environment, it's not just the outer environment, the way the person sees outside the body. What I really mean is the outer environment is the body as well, my thoughts, emotions, all of that. So I'm like, okay, this is when. So I'm already kind of settled, right? So that can be helpful. Right now, because it's been a consistent practice, I automatically wake up in the morning, which of course, morning when I say is like I wake up at sometimes 3:34, the body itself wakes up. I don't even have an alarm. And I want to name all of this because I get questions on this so much, right? Because we see all this, right? If you're like me, if you've been seeking, or any kind of, if you have curiosity, the kind of images we have, of meditation, we see, meditation, this, some guru, some sadhu sitting, somebody sitting like this, and at least from the culture that I come from, there are many rules around this. Spine erect, just be this thing. It kind of is a very, doesn't work for everybody. It didn't work for me. But I'm saying, and waking up at certain time, this, that, all of that. And then, of course, right, even the words, quieten your mind. What are the other words? Control your thoughts, right? A silent mind. For the personal mind, that's an absolute misnomer. Because the mind that we are identified as and with, it's impossible that it's going to be silent. In the sense that happens, but when the doer, right, as a person, we are one. The person, the separate self, and I've made enough videos about that if you're curious and if this is one of your first videos. But the person is the separate self that is the thought and living as thought. So that which is living as thought, as movement, trying to silence, it's like, it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. So all these things, we come in with these ideas. So that is why the key for this, let's keep it very simple. Let's say we have no idea about what meditation is. Or even if we do, we'll just leave it out for some time. Okay, by the door. We can pick all of that gyan up later. Let's just put it out there. And for just this time, enter into the space. Open. I actually will not even say empty, because then the thought comes saying that it has to be empty or open. Whatever we are, we'll just enter as that. We'll hold the intention, right, of putting everything, and then just come with that. Let's see what happens with that kind of a easeful attitude, because that was really helpful for me in that sense. So let's take a seat. And sense really taking the attention to the breath. We're not doing anything. We're just being with the breath, just observing the breath. If you like, we can do just a light sensing of the body. Just feel the body. Like really stepping into the body, and just kind of being with it for a minute or two, because if it wants to shift a little bit, adjust. Staying with the breath, just observing the breath, breathing the body. Taking our attention lightly just into the body, feeling the top of the head, just the alive feeling, presence in the body, as the body, sides of the head, back of the head, forehead, eyebrows, temple. There, exhale, just allowing the body to naturally relax, allowing the doing to happen, relaxing the eyes, the eyeballs naturally kind of rest, roll back, cheeks, nose, lips, relaxing the jaw, tongue, ears, behind the head, neck, front of the neck, sides of the neck, back of the neck. to just feeling the whole head as this alive presence. Shoulders, upper arms, lower arms, elbow, wrist, hands, palm, fingers, allowing the breath to be whatever it is. Armpits, sides of the upper torso, chest, upper back, diaphragm, belly, soft, open, naturally falling out. Sides of the lower torso, lower back, hips, feeling the hips steadily supported by Mother Earth, genital area, thighs, front of the thighs, inner thighs, back of the thighs, knees, calves, shin, ankle, feet, heel, soles of the feet, toes, top of the feet, taking the attention now gently up along the legs, all the way till the hips, the torso, feeling the whole alive presence of the body. The sense of completely coming into the body, taking a seat. We may feel our energy, the presence even radiating beyond the edges of the physical body. Loose, open. Now just being in this state, as this open, aware, listening space. Just, if you have any thoughts that come up, they just come into that space. Allow it to be. This space is all allowing. Whatever arises, arises. Whatever dissolves, dissolves. just neutrally observing. Sakshi Bhava is a witness. Simply observe. We're not changing anything, trying to do anything, fix anything. Whatever thoughts and narration are happening in this space are just happening. We're not going to touch it. The key being that even if we find ourselves engaging with a interesting thought, allow that to be okay as well. Because this whole so-called practice is simply about being. So whatever happens, that's fine. So just for this time, just gonna be this aware, witnessing, observing, being state of awareness. We're not engaging, we're not, just for this time, we're not interested in anything that it has to say. All thoughts can just come and go as they please. Like the sun, in front of which you have clouds that are in constant movement, coming and going. That's fine. The sun is not affected or touched by it. It simply is. You're not changing anything. If during this time we find ourselves engaged with a particular thought, enticing thought, That's fine. The minute we realize that, we come back and just be. Easefully. If the body feels like moving, we observe. Just kind of be with that body part internally. And then if it wants to really move, we allow it to move. We are simply, at this point, one may say, like these pair of eyes. Deeply sense into this as this state of just kind of being. You know? There's no doing. The doing happens at the level of the body which may want to move. Let it move. Or the doing is happening as the movement of thoughts that are coming into the space of awareness and leaving. Let it happen. Soon you'll see that you just are. You allow everything. It's kind of a state of nothing matters. There's no agenda. Nothing needs to happen. For just this time, just allow everything to be whatever it is unfolding to be. I simply am. Absolute acceptance of whatever is. And initially it may help if you're even called to go back to the breath and kind of feeling the aware body awareness, right? The sense of presence. That helps. But truly trust your own path into this, but just being. For this time, there is only this moment that is arising. If you're not engaging in thought, sense into this. If I'm not engaging or picking any thought or making any meaning, because I need to pick thought to make meaning, then there's no past and there's no future. I just am. Right now, right here. And sense this space of no past and no future. We can't even utter anything about the present because by the time we are doing that, we need to pick thought, right? So we don't pick thought, then simply isness. That's all there is. This sense of awareness is simply isness. There's nothing else. Timeless state. Sense this timeless state as this unknown. That's what you say. There are no thoughts, no concepts, no future, no past. It's an amness, isness. Aware, I also would like to invite is to kind of sense how it is to be a newborn. The newborn that is right now, arrived from its mother's womb. Sense that state of the newborn. Even if the eyes are open, it has no concept of anything. Even if it's looking at something, it has no concept that it's looking. That there is a difference between it and that it is looking at something. What is that state? Absolute unknowing. It simply is. It doesn't even know that it is in the body or that there are body parts or whatever, it just is. Let this loose, alive, spaceless space. Sense the body moving, the breath moving, things happening, but this time That's it. That is meditation. And whatever it was for you, it is meditation. Meditation is not a practice done in time. It is not a doing. It is not at the level of that which moves, right? The thoughts move, the body is moving, all of that. It is that aspect of us that is still aware, that doesn't fluctuate, that which already is. So meditation is the ground of being. And of course, as we do this, right, and I'd invite us to still stay in that open, present state. So if you want to just close your eyes and just listen to the words arising in the field, do that. You can just open your eyes if you'd like to and just be. You can really sense that this is how it begins and it naturally unfolds. But however it unfolds, or whatever happens at the level of the body, the thoughts, even the energetic, maybe emotions, whatever that might be, does not mean anything about meditation. Because meditation is not a practice. That's why we call it many times as a timeless practice. This is the only practice really that one may say we don't do to get anywhere, because we already are. So it's agendaless. If you enter in that space and then allow everything to just be, whatever guidelines we give ourselves, to just observe or witness, fine. And if we find that we forget, right? As in the mind, we're aware, we're observing, and next thing you know, we're one with that thought. That's fine too. We're okay with everything. And that is why, in many ways, when I began, it was like, you do the practice of meditation, whatever that is. We give it all these words, and once you're done and you get up, you're done. You're not making meaning about what happened, right? Because that's the thought coming in. It says, today I had a good meditation. Why? Because the body was a little quieter, more steadier, didn't move that much, and the thoughts. So I think I'm getting good at meditation. And the next day, you say like, dang, I couldn't sit for 1 second. The whole body was so antsy. My thoughts were all over, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not at the level of the body and the thought at all. You allow it to fly like the balloon in the sky. Let it do whatever. We simply are. Just loosely hold the guidelines, that for this time, I just am going to be. And I'm going to observe. I say observe even the body, emotion, thoughts, everything is at the outer level, not just the outer world. I'm just that awareness, like the inner eyes, one may say, right? Just observing. That's all. Nothing else needs to be controlled or quietened. And at this point, I also want to name that I also want to say completely untether in one sense about any future, what is also going to happen. I'm okay if even 1 month of me sitting, like let's say 15 minutes, I come and sit to do this, 20 minutes, whatever that time is. And after a month also, if it is the same, makes no difference to me. It'll only make a difference if I am attached in some way to the way the practice should be going. If I'm thinking there needs to be an outcome. If I'm not, then I just come and sit. Whatever happens today in this moment, because when there's no thought, there is not even the next moment. So I just am. Whatever this dance is, let it be. And in that, things naturally happen. Whatever happens is perfect for us. The mind loves to compare. It's taken down a lot of notes about all of this. Everything, just let it be. Right? It's just about being for whatever that 15-20 minutes is, getting up, continuing with the day. That's all there is. No need to even make any meaning, and if the thought that narrates in the head that is making meaning, we observe that. That's fine too. Today the thought came and said, wow, you did so good. And tomorrow the thought came and said, you know what, this is not going anywhere. Both are heard, both are opinions. The voice of the thought in the head. Both are equanimous. No problem. We just are. That's that. That's all. That's the meditation. Meditation is that state. There is nothing to say about the meditation, ever. There is no thought being engaged with that is offering judgment all the time. Or rather, just the observing. If that thought comes in and it's offering judgment, that's fine. See, now then, there's no problem with any kind of meditation. Whatever happens, happens. And allowing it to unfold. I do want to mention though a couple things. For me, I have seen that there is, I know many people ask, there are things where we do mantra, we take the mind and focus it on certain points, so that helps get into deep meditation. Now, there are definitely practices like that can help, because the mind that is wandering, it can help. But many times, at least in my case that I saw, it can just feel very stressful as well. I found this to be the most that worked for me. And that's why I say not all meditations will work for everybody. Find the one that works. Like for me, this combination really worked really well, where being with the body and the breath initially. Because, when we are moving as this intellectual mind, we don't realize that as a person, but it's kind of slightly a disembodied way of being. we are here, you know. We try to, and especially like I said, if we try to move from having a full day and then trying to come into meditation, this is so active even more. And then we have all these, agendas and outcomes that whatever it should be. When we try to do it in that, no wonder there's a sour taste about, what meditation is and all these definitions that I can do it or I cannot do it, right? So that's why I always say one of the most powerful questions is, how am I already this? How am I already meditation? Right? Just an open space. This is an open question. It's not to be answered. What part of me, what part of me is really already still, already silent? And just letting that question be. It arises. So for me though, this is, and I'd really like to recommend this, is the way of meditating for Vipassana. Extremely helpful that I found, because it brings you into the body. And then that level of keeping attention and scanning the body worked for me. It wasn't very stressful as a particular mantra or focusing on like your third eye or anything like that. It was just a gentle flow coming into the body. And I think really, if I sense into it, for me, it's a very feminine way coming into the body. It's like that alive energy. It's just there. It's like that timeless. That I want to name something as well here and hold all of this loosely again. Allow the words to, after you hear anything that is shared, and I wanted to say that also in any of my videos, don't take them as concepts at all, right? Whatever arises, whatever is needed is taken by the mind, and just let it be, because we are already that. When we need it, it will arise within us. And that has been very helpful for me. Of course, sense your own resonance in all of this, right? But don't need to kind of really hold on to it as a concept, because that is what is the thought that is keeping us apart. So just lose, right? Just lose. So with Vipassana, I really felt that kind of really helped. We have Vipassana centers all over where you can really go to, the meditation. For me, it was life-changing when I did my first 10 days, with that. In fact, that's when I really realized Vipassana is kind of meditation where they say, you have to be alone, nothing with you, right, for 10 days. And I had such a good laugh after I came out. I said, what alone? It's like you have your companion with you, this narrating voice, which becomes so obvious, that is constantly speaking, and we get identified with this. It's conditional thinking. That is the voice of the world that we say, right? And we're moving as that. So nothing wrong with that. That's just part of the experience of the third density, being unconscious and moving as the thinking mind, which is either in the past or in the future, right? The minute we pick thought, this is reality right here. Sense this state right here, now, 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 now. There's no space for a past or future to be thought of, or a thought of a past to be brought into this. The minute we do that, we have moved into thought. But if we just are, it's the space of what we call as the unknown, unknowing. Space, it's empty. I just want to offer another tip. Imagine if you're just without the brain or the thought itself, right? And let's say you're even without your eyes, like your eyes had never seen anything. So there's no concept of even, because many times when we say witness or we say observe, it's like the inner eye that is observing, right? We are moving, that inner eye is moving. That is also moving. So let's say there's nothing there, then what is left? Really like that newborn state. So that starts to deepen. And then we'll experience whatever needs to be experienced beyond that, that cannot really be put into words. Yeah, but this was very, very helpful. I hope you found this helpful as well. So I also want to now address a few questions that I'd received about, what do you do? Are you meditating for hours? I think I made a brief video about that as well. That, the mind carries so many ideas, right? About meditation and the ideas that we get from elsewhere that says, if somebody has an experience and they share it, we think that is what it will be for me as well, right? Especially if you've heard from some of the big gurus, like my own guru and teacher Ramana Maharshi, right? You hear. So it's our perception of that, right? Our understanding of what he's expressing. Sometimes we feel like, oh my God, that is what it takes. And I want to share this very clearly because for me, when he would say, just be silent, right? It's like the self is all there is and it's aware. There's nothing, just be silent. Like it's like silence, that's all there is. And so then I would just be, I have to be silent. That's how I perceived it. That's how I understood it at that time. And for me personally, the minute this body kind of, the thoughts settle, the body settles, when we say, there's a settling that naturally happens because we're awareness and we're so identified with a stream of thoughts that we are identified. We're doing that all the time. So those thoughts, this is just a visualization, just hold it loosely, are around us, right? These are the clouds around the sun you can see covering. And we try to control and manage these thoughts, right? We don't understand, then if we hear things like quieten your mind, control your thoughts, silent mind, whatever, right? I mean, I've heard these words, I'm saying not from Ramana Maharshi's thing, but if you hear, then we try to do that. We try to control them. We try to quieten the thoughts. See, the beauty of this is, and that's why all of this is called illusion, because this thing that moves, everything that is moving, it only gets its existence from our focus and awareness. And I really want you to listen to this. Like, it really helped me. And I really kind of saw this and I was like, huh. Like they say, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So it's only our focus on it that keeps it alive when we engage with it. Now the mind, when I'm saying mind as in these thoughts, right, that are moving, the mind is alive whether you love it or whether you hate it. Whether you're trying to pacify it, whether you're fascinated with it, or whatever, it doesn't mind. Its life comes from our awareness. It exists for us because we are focused on it. So for example, And I do this with my kids, that's why I share this, kind of to make it really tangible. So I say, okay, now look around in your room, whatever, right? So you have a lampshade. So you look at the lampshade. It's been there, right? But that's not been in my awareness at all. It's there. It's not been in my awareness at all. So in some ways, look at it that way. It's there. Only when I think about it, right, it kind of becomes prominent, right? Only when I want to go turn it off, oh my God, the lampshade is on, I need to turn it off. Oh, it's not sitting properly, I need to move it. Only then my engagement starts with it. If I don't, after some time, it's not existing for me. And that is what this is with these thoughts and everything that are going around, right? It's because it's got momentum to it because we're moving as it for so long. And that's absolutely fine. So this can really be helpful. Okay, let it be. Let it play however long it does. Soon we'll start seeing our attention turns to that, it's behind almost, like the sense of awareness, being state. It's that unknowing state. There is no even movement of the inner eye as if it is observing. Even that switches off automatically. Nothing to do. That's the thing, nothing to do. Allow it to just be. Wherever. One day here, one day there. Doesn't matter. Means nothing about meditation, that which we already are. Awareness. So this is one practice that do not tether to anything. Do not make any meaning about it. All the meaning that the mind makes. It was successful, it was not, it is hard, it is easy. Drop everything. Or rather, again, if all of that is there, just to observe its thought, its opinions. That's all it is. Right? So this is very helpful. So just not interested, not engaging in it. And it's really the state of like, I don't know. Just the unknowing state. So, regarding the body, with Ramana Maharshi that I wanted to share was that whenever I would sit and then these thoughts would kind of just move away, my regular thoughts that are there would kind of quieten down, and then the body as well still. Now there are two things here that I want to share. If for many this may come up. One is, of course, we find ourselves in that dissolved state that I say. We are aware, but without any outer. It's the self-awareness, right? That state. That is a state that we experience as the human thing first time. That ability to do that. Just be self-aware. But many a times, that may be it, right? Which we are aware of, which is very commonly known as meditation. But there's also another state when this opens, like there's like this portal that opens. And we might find new insights coming in. And that is what was happening with me for a long time. And what I did not realize that I was kind of also stopping that flow. Because be silent. So I'm like, okay, this meditation needs to make me more silent. But somehow, the minute I'm meditating, I come out, there's like more stuff coming through me. and really stuff that I could clearly say was not Supriya. They were not Supriya's thoughts. They were insights that I have never read before, heard before, that were coming through. So I was like, where did that come from? Like this clear knowing. Because portal just opens up, when the conditioned thought kind of ends. This awareness can also be seen. That's why it's like a paradox, actually. We really say it's one. Awareness is that still aspect, but it's like a portal, and then things come through. Now, again, if we don't know, then what will happen is that we will try to, again, suppress that if we have an idea of silence or stillness in that sense. So, allowing that to come forth. For me, my journey of meditation got really better when I kind of knew when to allow that to come through. Because it's like a bubbling up, and it comes up. Sometimes that would just mean I would stop and write without making any meaning, right, about meditation. I'll just write. That's all it needs to be written or whatever expressed, and then I sit again. Whatever felt in the moment. So I wanted to share that as well. So this is really, I want to share two aspects of this. The meditation that we are very familiar in the world is a masculine way of meditating. And when I say masculine, feminine, we have these energies within us, first and foremost, right? And it's dynamic. I want to really share that it's not really determined by the body, that it's not male and female like we think. So, and this is dynamic. So the masculine energy has a particular way it moves, it manifests, and then the feminine energy is a certain way that it moves. So they work together. And the way the dynamics of the masculine and feminine work in each body is so unique, it cannot be conceptualized. So this is really the key, because ultimately we can learn from others and outwards and what anybody else does. But ultimately, and this is where we stand right now, to trusting our own journey, our own knowing, our own pace in every arising moment. See, because it's dynamic. That also is not a concept of our mind. Because the way it will move, we are like just for lack of a better word, I would say like a living purpose. It unfolds in the moment. So that's like this dynamic masculine, feminine energy. So just to share this, right, just to get an idea. Because we've lived as the masculine dominant world, right, sense, looking outwards, mind. The masculine ways, that's why outward projecting, right? And its way of, especially when it's related to meditation, I sense it like this. It's the kind that transcends. That is why transcendence is such a popular word in spirituality. Especially in the masculine word, because that's what it is. I transcend. That is how it experiences it outwards. It moves from one state of being and leaves it behind and moves into the other. That's also the other way what I say is jnana, because it's the head. It's one way to look at it, and use all of this very loosely because it translates with different meanings, right? So for me, masculine is like the very head oriented. Feminine is like the more body oriented, heart. So it's like a combination of two. So that when we are dynamic, like, that unique expression is both this dance of the body and the head meeting from the heart. So the movement is from the heart, right? It's like a really felt space. So that's the jnani way, right? The jnani looks at reality. That's my aspect, when I love to explore and look at reality. And masculine, because if you sense the outer senses, it creates distance. So the masculine way is of that, creating distance. Shiva, that is pure consciousness as mind, looks at Shakti, creating distance, and adores. That's the masculine way of doing, in that sense. The feminine energy is immanence. Like she brings everything in. She doesn't transcend. Her movement is not this. It's bringing it in. She embraces. She allows. She just allows everything. She senses. It's a very, very different feel. Right? So, when we move in the moment, and this is really what I want to name about meditation, if we don't make any meaning, in that moment, we will know what feels for us. So I want to kind of go back and share this from the point when the mind that we have lived as, the masculine dominant mind, which is outward sensing, it lives as a doer. We know that. I've shared a lot about this in my previous videos. Go and look at that. So it wants to do. So the question will naturally come as, what do I do? It lives outside inside dynamics, right? So it gains knowledge from outside, attains. So it's looking for answers outside. Tell me what to do and I'll do it, right? We all know this. Tell me what to do, right? But this is really not that. This is about living the true us that is constantly unfolding at the level of becoming, right? That aspect of us that is still as awareness. And at the level of this flow, it's constant unfolding. Who can tell us what to do ultimately? So there comes a point when we have to sense within. And when I say within, not even as a concept, because that becomes another. Instead of taking somebody else's opinion, we've just taken our own belief about something. Just being in the moment. So this is in response to so many questions that come from me saying, okay, what are you doing in that sense? This is it for me in the moment. Just sensing what I'm feeling in my body really helps me. Because it's like a sense of living life. Not about force, And again, I do want to say there's nuance here. Right? Because the body that loves to be in familiar, comfortable spaces, mind wants to be familiar, comfortable, then it'll say, this is what I want to do because it feels comfortable. There is discernment there. Right? So for that, I know that I created a morning space for my meditation, which is great. 15 minutes. I just go sit. Couple things that I made that easier for me because I knew that before the mind gets very active and all of that, that is the time that I sensed was the best for me, where I easily was, could be there as meditation or whatever that is. These words can be very confusing. So that kind of, now initially, of course, that took discipline, right? But again, right, the feminine way of doing that is that we naturally arrive to that, naturally arrive to that. It's like a devotion. I wanted to do that. It's like I just knew my body, my whole being was ready. It wasn't ready a few years before that at all. Are you kidding me? To get up in the morning and do that? No, just wasn't. So to be with ease with all of this, right? And sense, like to take the next smallest step. That's all. Take the next smallest step. That's all it is. So that was very helpful, right? And start with 5 minutes. I'll be with myself. Make it as joyful, as easeful as possible. So that worked for me. I saw in the morning. And again, like I said, all of this I learned where, create that one space. The minute I sit there, somehow the body feels, it's like, settles down, right? And then, of course, then this practice starts becoming a way of being. Then it's like you just love it. And you love it so much that I cannot even imagine now that somebody like me who loves her sleep. I'm like a dreamer, so I love my time where I'm dreaming, lazing, what the world calls lazing, which is not it at all, I feel. But it is like getting up in the morning as well. I do not like to get up and run out of the bed, which I did for many years, with kids and all of that stuff, but really just luxuriously opening my eyes, just feeling my body in the bed. What a joy for this moment, this next day, for the breath, right? It's like that feeling. I enjoy that, right? It's like that. Because in the end, when we really realize that life happens, only in this moment that you're listening, this is reality, this is real. Even the future, whatever future we're talking about, is going to come here. Right? The past also, whatever we think, had only happened here, this now. More accurately put, as I am awareness, everything happens in my awareness, in me. Once you really see that, and of course then you start seeing the nature of time. I'm not going to go into that. That I am the one creating time. Right? So the thing of that being the mind running and you being attached to it, rushing through things, no, nothing is worth that. This moment is it. It's a beautiful space. So sensing into this. And one more thing that I really want to say is that trusting ourselves that we know. We know. Yes, we can look outwards, we can ask. Of course, we've all done that. And we'll continue to do that, whatever comes, because the divine is this one self that is playing as this fragmented, right? The one divine that we are, as the separate self with the world outside. So we get signs from outside and, somebody says something that is so helpful and, we get support from outside. All that is great. But in the end, beautiful question to ask, how do I know? What part of me knows? There's a part of me that knows what is right for me. That's right for me. Just sensing that, little movements. So that's what I really do. Even after whatever, for how long. So my morning thing, I keep that again because I was sharing about consistency, a space, a time for it, which is very helpful. It might look different for you. But through the day then, I'm just moving with that sense. And again, I get this question, Supriya, I'm working. I don't have that luxury. I need to be at work. And see, wherever we are, because we are life. At any moment, it's perfection in that moment. It really is. So it's like the blossoming of a flower, So wherever we are, whatever time we can perceive that we have or not, is perfect. So that's why I always share, start with small, the 5 minutes we get. Right? Instead of rushing, oh, wait, I have 5 minutes now. Enough. Or I have a lunch break right now. 10 minutes can be just there. Enough. Allow life that is unfolding right now to be enough. This was one of the biggest transformational shifts for me. Because it's all phenomena. To be identified as a person, as a part, because we are consciousness, innately we know this. We're not limited. We know this. We're not conditional in that sense, right? But we are playing this game as a part. And that can translate with the conditioning of the world and our environment. If we have ever lived as identified as a separate self, it's because it's phenomena. That's why I shared that at some level or another, we've lived at the level of not enoughness. Right? So this is a beautiful way of inviting that what is right now is enough. More than enough. Then we can enjoy this moment. So, for everybody who asks questions, wherever, whenever, having a lot of space and compassion and, for this journey in a world which, has all different kind of narratives. Taking this opportunity to trust our own self, our own knowing, whatever that might be, whether it's even clear or not at that moment. So that's what I do. And then through the day, then I'm just literally living. And for me, the way that it translates that I want to share is in the body. It's really this feeling. I enjoy my walks that I go for. And again, my walks have become agendaless. I'm not doing, and this is me, again, not saying about anybody else, because we all need different things. So before I jump into that very important point that's coming up that I want to share, when we are very identified as the doer, one more thing related to meditation that can be helpful is that this doer energy of this thought is a very restless energy, right? So sometimes that's why when we come and sit for meditation, we just cannot sit. It's moving. That is when really what I've seen is that some kind of active work really helps. It kind of dissipates the energy that is in the body, of the mind, the running mind. So it's everything comes up at the right time, right? This is so helpful because that would really help me kind of dissipate. So whatever that looks like for you, right? So that's why yoga and asanas come before, in that sense, before you do this, right? So for me in this case was either going for walks, and then eventually, of course, it's forever has been pranayam, right? Pranayam. And I really want to name this because pranayam is one practice that will drop you into a deep meditative state or a calmer state without doing anything. Because when you bring breath and movement and body awareness together in that space, because it's really vibration, it's a mechanism, it's energetic. Blank. You just go blank. That's when I've had the most deepest meditations. So I want to share this. When I do this other kind of meditation, we're just observing all of that I was sharing. Again, like I said, my channeling self opens up, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that comes in. But when I do my pranayam, there's no thought of also that I'm going to meditate. It's just after that I'm still. I'm gone. Like the whole body is still. It's like a deeper state. That's the beauty of this practice. Pranayam has been life-changing for me. And especially, there is one pranayam that the common man, I would say, if you're just beginning to explore this, will know, where it looks like you're doing things, right? Again, like holding a mantra or doing some postures and things like that. But more than the doing, it is the state of mind, the stance with which you enter the pranayam. That is the radical shift. And that changed everything for me. And that is what I teach at Mystery School. So if anybody is interested, because many were saying, where do you go? Well, I teach right now pranayam classes on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at my Mystery School. I'll go ahead and put a link down there if you're interested to look at it. I am also in January starting classes on Monday and Wednesdays in the morning at Patreon. I'm still figuring that out. So I'm going to do that. So if you're interested, I'll go ahead and put details down there as well. You can connect with me on email. So if you're interested to join. But I'm saying pranayam for me is like this holistic practice. Everything comes in that. Breath, movement, deep meditation. That's it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I wanted to really share that. That is another thing. So coming back to what I do in that sense is one of these things that I'm really enjoying, just being with wherever I find myself in the moment. right? The masculine way of how we've seen these whole things, we have an idea many times that we need to sit, meditate for hours. So that's why we sometimes, many times, don't even, I didn't even begin my practice. Because, having kids and a full life, that we may have, who has the time, right? But it's not about that really, about sitting. It may be for some who can do that, and that is their path. That is their path. It wasn't mine. So it is mindfulness, right? So the mind that is living as time, as separation, separates everything. Stillness and movement. Or it says silence and noise. So it says this or that. It's and. So my practice is more about that and. Just being with what is in this moment, deeply enjoying whatever I find in that moment. Really sensing life, sensing life. So I go for a walk. I'm not going with an agenda anymore. Like I need to walk like 3 miles or 2 miles. And many times, I don't even go with anybody because I don't even want to talk. In that sense, I'm just with my whole body. And I cannot tell you the amount of things that come to light when we are fully there with ourselves in that. So one of the practices that I really enjoy, this might be helpful, and I'm just sharing what is working right now for me this time. And everything shifts. I see that when you move like this, you'll really see it's all dynamic, right? What is needed, that opens up and it calls to you. It cannot come from outside. It cannot. And nothing is like as if you're going backwards. Don't have those definitions either. Sometimes it looks like 2 steps back, but that was needed. Right? So no meaning making. Just simply enjoying wherever we are. So one of the practices is my bare feet walking, which I just love. Right? It's like acupressure and just brings a sense of aliveness. And it's not a fast walk, it's just with the body. I'm just with every leg moving, hand moving. And I'll share one of my videos where it's like literally the torus energy. There's like a field around us that now I can sense that comes alive. And it's a dynamic, right? Every body expression is a unique dynamic expression. So it moves. So when I'm just with the body moving, I'll suddenly see like the right leg moves a little faster. The body is moving. I'm not doing anything. Or sometimes the left leg, sometimes the arms really swings. The body is moving. It's an amazing experience to have. The mind is not leading. The body is leading. So even in my pranayama classes, the body is leading. Say, let the body lead. Because if you don't feel like moving in that moment, let's say after Bhastrika, don't. Just let the body move. It knows best. So this is the feminine way, really. Right? Coming into the body. So it just moves. And I can see like that moment, that energetic field, like in the center, just shifts. So try that. It's like walking meditation. So that really helps me. And other than that, just being with wherever I am. Because once, of course, if you're exploring this at the level of non-duality and all of that, right? Once you're awakened, there is no you. It's just energy. So if I'm cooking something, it's just an aliveness of senses. I am that aroma at that time, right? That's the experience. If I'm tasting something, then I am completely that taste at that time. So the feminine way is a very delicious way of living. It's a very nourishing way, because as we know, in Ayurveda also we'll say, right, how does the masculine, the feminine show itself in that sense, that the feminine is the rasa. She's the essence. She's the juice of life. That's why at the level of that which we are as mind, it's energy, it's sensing. She deeply senses. She's rasa. It's the juice of the fruit that we taste, right? And the masculine is always later, right? So it's the ojas, it's the outward radiance that projects outwards. They're one and the same, but they are facing outwards. So that's why the paradox. They appear to be opposites, but they're one and the same one source, right? So the feminine way, that's why the feminine makes a place a home, right? Brings heart into it. That's what it is. It's not dry discipline. It's devotion. The masculine has the jnana, and jnana bhakti are the same, but I'm saying the flavor I can sense within me. My masculine sense, if it's like jnana, like it's like the words and the way of seeing and then the structure to it, the mechanism to it. The bhakti aspect is just what I call is my roomy self. It's like, I just love just being. Who the hell wants to know how the mechanism works? It's that state. I just am. How beautiful is this? I just am. So I'm feeling life. That's the bhakti aspect. And these are two. When the masculine and feminine come together, that's like the experience of wholeness. That's what it is. We feel fragmented because we are living, which is simply an experience of the third density, which is the masculine dominant, separation, dry. Right? It's both. It's the dry and the wet, that together. That's the experience of wholeness. So when the masculine kind of dissolves, naturally the feminine already is, because she's the source. I'll share this in more detail later, but it comes together, and that's the lived experience of wholeness, embodied wholeness. There's nowhere to go. There's no other place to be. This is it. This is it. And it overflows. It overflows. So then every moment, wherever we find ourselves, is where we are. And that naturally evolves. Inspirations come in, we become sensitive. It's really deep sensing. Right? The masculine mind, basically, it's a state of unknowing. So that's why I say the masculine is Shiva, where you hear everything, I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm nothing. But Shakti, right? Because in the end, even the voice that is saying I'm nothing is Shakti. Because there's no expression without mind, Shakti. So Shakti is I am everything. I am everything. Whatever is bubbling up is deeply sensed, deeply allowed to be. And now, without any of this being concepts, there's a unique dynamic through which we move. Right? Like I was sharing at this point, there's so much that flows to be shared, simply an expression of this perception, right, of this mind. I was really surprised. There was absolutely no this thing to make any videos. There is so much that I want to share, but no juice. So the body itself, our being, when we start deeply sensing, moves us, right? And then sometimes I'm just like, that's why what I've seen works for me is retreats, really. When I'm called to do retreats, then I'm like, great, for 4 days, I love that I'm just gone. I'm nothing. I don't want to be everything at that point. I can sense it in me. I'm nothing. That emptiness is so beautiful, like so kind of just a steady, I have no words for it. I don't want to give it words. That is needed at that time. But I tend to lean, for this body mind, I tend to lean towards I'm everything. I have the way the energy flows is I have a joy for everything. So I love my time with nature. Literally, when we are in this state, you can be sitting under a tree and the tree speaks. It's wisdom. We can hear it. Because there's no difference when you're in the state and you're one with the tree's energy and your energy are together, or a stream that is running, or for me this helps in nature. Look at the sky, the night sky. So these are my ways. You'll have your own unique ways. Even when we do something that we love, that is like work. When it is something we love, right, it's flow. It's the state of flow. That's exactly the state of flow is deeply feminine. It's creative. We're immersed in it. There is no separate you. That's the state of an artist, right? And that's for me singing. I don't practice, want to, but it's not about that at all. I don't hit the notes, not about that at all. So I'm sharing with somebody, for me, it's just this joy of singing and sensing into those lyrics. I'm transported. Right? It's like that with dance, maybe with art, whatever that might be. And it can also even just be in conversation. I see that when I'm just completely open and when speaking with somebody about something that two people are deeply interested in, there is no separateness. Right? We can just see we are together. We're like, oh, yes, yeah, yes. Sharing are both things, but it's like this, it's arising in the field between us. So these all ways which are expressed and done, and not kind of the backseat of that meditation, detaching kind of this, right? This is one with life. It's deeply feminine. So sense. We are life, and know that doesn't matter what we do, we can't get this wrong. Life does not work in the playground of wrong and right. Really. No way we can make mistakes. Nothing. Time truly is an illusion. An illusion we create as the mind so that we can experience this. But to have that have a hold on us in any way is a different play. It's an unconscious third density play, and we're all really waking up out of that. We're sharing a lot about that as well. But I hope this was really helpful, and because I get many questions on what's your personal journey and all of that. So I just felt called today to come in, and I also want to share something. It's the new moon. We are, okay, for my non-dual friends, because I always want to make sure context is everything. Otherwise you hear from these things. For the non-dual friends, none of this applies, right? Because non-duality cannot be understood. It's not something for the conceptual mind, right? So it can only be pointed out and pointed at only till a certain extent. Beyond that, the non-dual step simply is. Every moment, it's one with life, and then you're just moving to it. It doesn't need anything else beyond that. So I want to be very clear. So the level of duality, the level of flow as nature, right? Cycles within cycles, right? So I played that game as well. For me, it's like if I open my eyes, I find myself in the body. I am present and I'm this, and I'm sensing it this way as well. So with nature right now, with the new moon, and then we have the winter solstice that is coming up on the 21st. So, like I say, we're going through this portal. The next year is feeling so rich. I have no words for it. I can feel it in my body. I can feel it everywhere I go. It's like, right, like the whole world is coming alive for this shift that we are going through, that has already happened in that sense. So it's the portal. The portal is not outside of us. We are the portal. Every self moves through this and experiences as if it's happening at the collective and world level as well. So this time, right, we have now, today's the new moon till about the 21st, and even beyond that actually, but I'm just putting it that way. Play with it, right? See how you're called to go within, right? It could be simple things, like I said, enjoy my contemplative time. I love journaling, really. And also like what they call is like just writing without thinking, right? Just writing without an agenda again. Just write and see what appears on the paper. And many times we say, right, because there is a thing about masculine and feminine with the hands. We're all right-handed, so sometimes it really helps when you write with your left hand as well. So all these kind of little practices. And the key here that I also want to share is when we say yes and we stay open, all of life reorganizes itself because there's no difference really. So we notice that it's right there. So what practices will resonate come right in front of us. We can see it. So be open to that. I am ready. I love this. I want to do this. Bring it to me. Right? Because really consciousness doesn't even need asking. That asking is simply a permission for the thinking mind to relax. That's all. It's already here. How is it already here? So even with the awakening, that's why I say, how is it that I'm already awake and aware? That's the open-ended question. And it's revealed when we stand as that open, available possibility. Because we already are. So this is a beautiful way of playing as well. So till about winter solstice and after, like, use this time. Because at the level of the body and our world and our thinking mind, there is a momentum. This body belongs to Mother Earth and this cycle, this density, this dimension. So that energy can be harnessed and played with if it resonates. There are many ways to do this. Right? If that resonates, use it. Whatever you want to do with that. And then till winter solstice. And then, of course, the year end after that. Well, I can just go on, but I want to end it here. And I hope this was helpful and answered all the questions. And wishing us all a beautiful time as we move through everything that, and a beautiful state of being. Everything is at the level of being. The mind that is the doer thinks it's at the level of doing. But taking this opportunity to take few minutes whenever it is possible and look at the state of being. Because that is the source. That is the I am center from which everything arises. That state of being, as I've shared, is the mind. If there's only mind, its vibration determines what can be perceived. The deeper sensing all arises from that. So, state of being. So, thank you for being. Because I always share that the reason there are these accelerated awakenings, that even a little bit of contemplation has us seeing deeper, is because consciousness has no boundaries or borders, So every mind that perceives something, every mind that shares something, every mind even holds the presence and the depth of something, holds it for all of us. That is the power of presence and our state of being. It holds it for the world. Actions arise from that. Doing arises, that's happens. But that's secondary. State of being is primary. So thank you for being, and I'll see you guys again soon. Much, much love. Have a beautiful rest of your week.